Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Clockedin with me, your host, Jordan Edwards. I'm thrilled to have you tune in as we dive into the dynamic world of productivity, success, and stories of incredible individuals who've mastered the art of getting things done. Whether you're commuting, hitting the gym, or just relaxing at home, this podcast is the go-to source for inspiration and actionable tips to level up your productivity game. I'm on a mission to unravel the secrets of those who seem to effortlessly manage their time and achieve their goals. So if you're ready to clock in and unlock your full potential, you're in the right place. We've got a lineup of amazing guests, industry experts, and thought leaders who will share their insights and strategies to help us crush your to-do list and make the most out of every moment. Get ready to get inspired, motivated, and equipped with the tools you need to supercharge your productivity. This is Clocked In with Jordan Edwards. Let's dive in. Hey, what's going on, guys? We got a special guest here today. We have Sang Kim, and he is here for Health is Wealth number 8. I know, can't believe we made it this far. And what we're going to be talking about today is intermittent fasting. I don't even know if I said that correctly, but it's a component of fasting. Sang's going to explain it a lot better than me. How are you doing, Sang? What's going on with intermittent fasting? What is this? I know it's the new trend. What's happening with it?
Yeah, well, before we get into that, Jordan, always great to see you and hear your voice. And yeah, I'm always excited about talking about health as wealth, right? Because health is very important to both of us, and we had a little conversation about values, and I think nowadays with a lot of issues with health, right? Health, in my perspective, should be the top value, that us humans should have, because, without your health, what can you do, right?
100%. And there's so many of us that put these things like their job or other commitments above their health. And it's not saying it's one or the other, but it's you only got one body, and how do you make the most of that and not have any issues and really try to optimize that for longevity and making the most.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of videos out there and podcasts around fasting, and today we're going to talk about intermittent fasting. And why don't we get right into it? Because it's a very powerful tool. And I know you've tried intermittent fasting, haven't you, Jordan?
Yeah. So what actually qualifies for intermittent fasting first, and then we can
Yeah,
dive
yeah,
into that because
absolutely, absolutely.
it's yeah.
Well, when you think about intermittent fasting, so let's look at it from a 24-hour window. Okay, so this is the shorter version of fasting, right? So it's all about the window of time that you actually take in calories or eat. So, for
Yeah.
example, when I do intermittent fasting, right, I'll have two meals in an 8-hour window from roughly 11 a.m. till 7 p.m. So that's my 8-hour window of consuming calories. And then there's 16 hours, which I'm not consuming any calories, um, and that's usually overnight. So for my example, it's 7 p.m. till 11 a.m.
Wow. Okay.
Does that make sense? So some people might do 12 to 8 and
Yeah.
eat from noon till 8. And quite often, people will have, let's say it's two meals in that 8-hour window, or you might have three meals in that 8-hour window spaced out, but
Yes.
eating in that window, and then there's no calories in the fasting window.
So it's always a 16-hour window, or it
No,
could be
no,
less.
no, that's a good question. I think that's a common one, the
Yeah.
16-8, right? But
Yeah.
some people might try like a 1-hour window and 20 hours of fasting. So maybe they
Wow.
eat for one meal, one big meal. Let's say let's say it's just steak, which
Yeah.
is 1 hour, and then they fast for 20 hours,
Yeah.
right? So, but the idea is that you've got a window of non-eating and a window of eating, and then you're gonna obviously consume the calories in that shorter window.
Yes. So I've experienced this where it's like when I go to sleep, I'm always trying to do a 12-hour window. So what I mean by that is I'll try to eat at 6 or 7 and then not eat the rest of the day until 6 or 7 the next morning. And that's one of the things that I have done, and that's helped me a lot. And that's only a 12-hour window. So it's trying to figure out how that works. Like when do you work out? How do you fit that in? What are even the benefits of this?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So we talked about what intermittent fasting is, and then when you think about the benefits, and everyone's a little bit different, but here are the key benefits for most people, right? So when you're doing intermittent fasting, you're not snacking all day like a lot of North Americans are snacking
Yes.
throughout the entire day. And then they get these sugar spikes, therefore the insulin spikes throughout the entire day, which is actually stress to the body, right?
Yes.
So, so when you actually only eat in a restricted window, generally speaking, you're going to probably eat less calories, right? So you're not
Yes.
consuming as many calories, so you're gonna probably lose weight. For most people that intermittent fast, given that 60% of North Americans are overweight or obese, so intermittent fasting, I mean, you're probably gonna lose weight.
Yeah.
Number one, and number two is potentially you're gonna get into this ketosis. So ketosis is when your body is going to be burning fat as opposed to sugar or glucose,
Okay.
right? So when you're not consuming any calories, your body is looking for calories to burn. And let's say there's no sugar in your body, well, and then your body is going to burn fat for fuel.
Interesting.
So it's a great way to stimulate fat burning,
Yeah.
right? So right now I've been doing a lot of intermittent fasting, but now I gotta consume more calories. I'm getting too skinny for my liking, right? And my muscle mass. So one of the drawbacks with intermittent fasting is not getting enough calories. So, but most people don't have to worry about that, right?
Yeah.
But for me, yeah, I've got to boost up my protein. So actually, I'm losing a little bit of muscle mass. So that's one of the drawbacks of intermittent fasting. So, um, and you got to be careful of that. But let's go back to the benefits. This sense of mental clarity is
Yes.
amazing, right? Like in the morning, so my first meal is until 11 a.m. My mind is clear. Uh, there's no brain fog.
Yeah.
I can get more of the harder work and the thinking work done in the morning.
Yeah.
And yeah, and potentially it's creating this process called autophagy. So autophagy is this process where the body is eliminating these dead cells, these cells that aren't functioning properly, right? It's a natural cleansing mechanism.
Yeah.
And that's a great process to get your body into. So yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I've heard that when you start getting a multi-day fast, you get into these deeper levels of that autophagy. How do you say
correct.
it? And what you're
Autophagy. Yeah,
autophagy,
autophagy.
as you're saying, and but in reality, it's when we simplify what health is, it's really the amount of food we eat versus the calories we burn. So if you just constrain that time that you're eating, it's a cool, easy, rule-based way to get into it. So how long for you, like what time do you wake up and how long for you did it take to really get adjusted to that kind of lifestyle.
Yeah, you know what? At the beginning, it's more challenging, right? Because you're dealing with the hunger mechanism. But you got to remember, like during your fast, you can have coffee, you can have tea, you can drink water,
Yeah,
you can have electrolytes in the water, so there's lots of different ways for you to feel, really good while
yeah,
you're going through an intermittent fast. Okay.
absolutely.
So and then the coffee helps, right? I think
I've
there's a lot
heard
of
that as
studies that
well.
show that, you know,
The black coffee
the
blunts the
black
hunger. Yeah,
coffee, exactly. And it's not a perfect fast, but you could, I love Dave Asprey's, you know, bulletproof coffee idea, right?
yeah.
With the MCT oil in it.
What's that?
That's the medium chain triglyceride. It's basically a very high quality coconut oil that you
Okay.
put into your black coffee, right? And that's a healthy fat,
Oh, wow.
right?
Interesting.
So you're not hungry. So
Oh,
that's
really?
something that you might want to incorporate, is this idea of a bulletproof coffee.
Yeah. So why is this, why are people getting into this? I feel like it's tough because in North America, like because you're in Canada, in North America, there is food everywhere in the office culture. The meal is the next thing. Everyone's excited for lunch, and it's to me it seems very relevant because this was the simplest way to just cut down on consumption. Because I mean, in America, you have
Yeah.
to be honest, like there's a lot of overconsumption. Like
Yes.
people are eating way
100%.
too much and they're eating it late at night, early in the
Yeah.
morning. And you
Yeah.
notice that like if you ever have a night out, you'll go out really late and you
Yeah.
might drink or eat or whatever. You're still hungry in the morning because your body doesn't even know what time it is.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've been doing intermittent fasting on and off, and it's one of those things where I think for most people, you've got to cycle through it, right? Maybe you do it for a couple of months, and then you go back to 3 meals and some snacking, healthy snacks, right? Whole foods, right?
yeah.
But I think it's yeah, like any of the fasting protocols, it's tough to do it um, for long periods of time, I think, right?
Yeah.
And for women, I think women have to be careful because it can really disrupt their hormones as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. So everyone's a little bit different. So you gotta look at it case by case, right?
Well, in reality, regardless, I think any type of fast, the benefits outweigh drastically. So, like we talked about in a previous episode where it was
Yeah,
you shouldn't eat 3 hours before bed.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
that 3 hours, and then you sleep for seven, eight, you're already at 11 hours. Like 12 hours of fasting is not that difficult.
Exactly.
If you frame it out that way,
Yeah,
and it's just this realization that you don't and you get a much better sleep.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you go to bed a lot better than if you're
Oh,
because a buddy of mine he would do these 24 hours fast like weekly, and his results on the Whoop, which track your sleep, he would get 99 scores every single time he went to bed.
yeah,
They just found the benefits are insane. But in society, we're just told constantly, eat, like just keep eating. And you start to question, is this out of necessity? Like, do I really need this, or is it an addictive thing that we get to?
yeah. Yeah, yeah. I think for most North Americans, like you say, we got access to food, lots of junk food, and it's processed, it's full of sugar and sweeteners, right? It's abundant. Fast food is cheap, it's
Mm,
accessible. Therefore, right, you're going to be overweight, right? You're constantly eating. So I think for most people, it's a great way to start like if you just, let's say you ate the same food and you fasted, you ate all the food that you normally eat in a day in an 8-hour window, right? And then fasted for 16, potentially you could lose weight,
Yes.
right? Just because, during the fast, your body is, the metabolism is on fire, right? So it's going to stimulate
Interesting.
the body, right?
Yeah. So it's an
Yeah,
easy way. Like
right.
pretty much what we
And
look for. Yeah. I mean, pretty much what
yeah,
we look for here is ways to change, like get really great results with a
yeah,
very minor change of input.
yeah,
And when you set constraints like this for yourself, it's just, there's a lot of benefits to it.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. And you know what? From a longevity perspective, right? So there's been animal studies that have found that fasting will increase lifespan, reduce chronic illnesses, chronic inflammation. Um, and these are drivers of aging and disease,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, it's one of those things you got to try it, right? And do it for a month and see how you feel, right?
Yeah.
And most people would probably say they feel more energetic, they have a clearer head, they've lost weight, and they have more energy,
Yeah.
you know?
Which, yeah, I mean, there's no reason not to do it. There's no reason not to at least try to see
Yeah.
if it's something that of interest. And obviously, like we talked about, there's many different ranges from the window that you're constraining yourself to eat in or not eat in.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And this is where you can experiment, right? Like 16/8, the 16-hour fast and 8-hour window, that fits my lifestyle. So
Yeah.
it's easier to implement, right? Some people might do a 20 hours of fasting, 4 hours of eating,
Yeah.
right? Or it might be like we talked about, one meal a day,
Yeah.
right? And maybe that's something that fits for you, for 1 or 2 days. You just do sometimes you've eaten so much crap one day, then the next day you feel kind of full.
Yeah.
It's okay. Have one meal,
Yeah.
one healthy meal. Excuse me. This is dry.
Absolutely.
Oh. And then some people
Absolutely.
do some alternate day fasting.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, there's just so many different ways of handling your life and thinking about your life. And pretty much what it's all about is basically the habits that we're in, right? So the habits we usually go through are dictate our life. And this is just a habit you can introduce to change things around.
Yeah.
So it's just a slightly different way of looking at things. Like if you always thought breakfast, lunch, dinner, it's like, wait a second. How can we adjust this so I can optimize my life and you can optimize your life? Because really what we want is for everyone to live a longer life, a healthier life, and a wealthier life.
Yeah. Absolutely. You know, back to the coffee and tea. Having that in the morning instead of a full breakfast while you're intermittent fasting, I mean, that will suppress your appetite,
Yeah.
right? And that's a good thing for most of us. We're probably overeating, right? And you think about it, when we're overeating, we're stressing the body out because now the digestive tract, the digestive system is working overtime, right? It's
Yeah.
being stressed and it's working hard.
Yeah.
So, you want to have periods of time when you give your digestive system a rest. And
Yeah.
the periods of fasting allows your body to rest. And you talked about it, like before you go to bed, right? You want your body resting and not digesting before bed so you can optimize your sleep.
100%. So when did you start introducing this into your life and when did you find out about this? Like, because I know
Um,
it just takes a lot of time and like if someone's an athlete, like how do they think about this? Because I
Yeah,
think I'm like, I work out at like 6 in the morning. Do I just not eat till then? I don't know.
yeah. No, that's interesting. I think my first experience with fasting was when I was 12 years old,
Oh, really?
and I am competing in freestyle wrestling in Canada.
Yeah.
Right. So every other weekend there's a tournament or so. I have to cut weight. So I'm not eating the day before weigh-ins, and I'm maybe taking in a little bit of water,
Yeah.
right? And basically I'm stressing my body out, and got the garbage bags on, my sauna suit, got to drop my 6 pounds or so, four
Yeah.
pounds, 6 pounds in grade 7 and grade 8,
Yeah.
right? So that was my first experience. But you know what? You felt like a freaking tiger, when you're hungry, right?
Yeah.
And you're in shape and you're working out, you're ferocious. You're alert,
Yeah.
right? And you think about that, right? That image, and it's true, right? You're ready to go conquer. You're ready for battle,
Absolutely.
right? So, intermittent fasting, you can get that personal edge every day and not feel like, you have a big breakfast and you have a lot of carbs. Do you feel like conquering the world, or do you feel a little sluggish,
Yeah.
right? You probably feel a little sluggish, and you're not at the top of your game likely, right?
Yeah.
There's a reduction of energy. There's a
Yeah.
reduction of motivation from the heaviness of the carbs
Absolutely.
in the morning, right?
100%. And when you really start thinking about it, it's like, how do you want to show up each day? Do you want to keep pushing through, lethargic, barely getting through, or do you want to like own the day?
Yeah,
And the way you describe it saying is very interesting because you really don't, most people think about it as just a loss. They're like, oh no, I can't eat those hours, blah, blah, blah. Instead, it should be, wait, who am I going to become with those extra hours?
correct.
Also, how much time, you also save a lot of time because
Oh
you're not
gosh, yeah,
wasting the time processing the food or walking after the meal or doing whatever. And you're just
yeah,
like ready to go. It's interesting. It's
yeah,
very, very
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, and yeah, I was introduced to MyFitnessPal to track what you're eating, and
Yeah.
and it's a great little app, right? Little plug for MyFitnessPal. I believe Under Armour owns it now, right?
Yeah.
And then you become aware of what you're consuming, and do it for a week. You don't have to
Yeah.
do it for, and then you're aware of what you're consuming, right? And the calories that you're consuming, right? It's
Well,
just an awareness exercise.
it comes down to measuring and monitoring. Like a majority of the time, we're aimlessly walking through this planet, and it's how do we wake up? And I'm hoping that this podcast is a wake up where you go, wait a second, I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. I don't have to live anyway. I can decide how I want to, and I can try these different things out, and this could be great for me or not great for me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
And this is just an introduction. I mean, there's lots of great information
yeah,
um, with fasting online, and but I think the key is start out small, right? Just cut out breakfast and have 2 meals a day, and you can snack in your 8-hour window, and
yeah,
16 hours you're fasting, and now you're super aware of it. And what's interesting is when you perform intermittent fasting, you probably sleep better
you
because
do.
now you're aware of your windows, and then you go, oh yeah, I'm
And then
done by
you have a bedtime.
7.
There's more of a bedtime too, instead of just eating at random hours of the night, not really sure what's going on, just operating on
Yes,
this
yes,
component of I'm hungry, so I have to s- fill that up. Like it's just
yeah,
very interesting.
yeah, yeah. And the hunger is just it's just a mechanism, right? It's a physiological mechanism,
Yeah,
right? But it doesn't mean you have to eat,
yeah,
right? It can be, you know, you know, it can be tricked, right? And quite often that's being stimulated by other foods like sugar. That
Yeah.
this idea that you're hungry again because sugar is very addictive.
Yeah, and a lot of the food, a lot of the things we say too, which we could be very cautious of, the words we use definitely have impact. So when we go, I'm starving, it's been 30 minutes. There's no way you're starving. Like
Yeah,
you don't
exactly.
starve every day. Like starving is like, hey, you haven't eaten in 6 days and like you probably need some food. Like we're
Yeah,
not talking like starving, because there's just so many times where we use these words and then we think back like we have this 2 million-year-old brain and it's like starving is not good. Like we have to solve this issue immediately. And a lot of us are in a very sedentary lifestyle too. So with that, it's like the food is just sitting there. So like even if you do these meals and this intermittent fasting and these different things, I would highly recommend walking after meals, just really just becoming more conscious of what you are eating and what you are doing, just because there's so many of us that struggle with this kind of stuff. And it's
yeah,
not us struggling, but it's more of just habits we've created, like, and things we've
yeah,
gotten into.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And
So everything's changeable.
yeah, yeah, and when if you're decided to attempt some intermittent fasting, perfection isn't the goal. Progress is the goal.
Yeah.
So, at the beginning, it might not be perfect, but it doesn't have to be perfect. It's better than what
Yeah.
you were doing before.
Yeah.
So the goal is to get to that 16 hours of fast and eight hours of eating, you know. But it's never going to be perfect at the beginning. So just
Yeah.
be okay with that,
Yeah.
right? I think the idea of perfection leads us to misery, right? If
Yeah.
the idea of progress, if you feel like you're making progress, you're going to feel a lot happier.
100%.
Compare yourself to where you were before you started this process,
I that
not
comes down to
to
that.
somebody else, right?
Yeah, that comes down to the measuring and monitoring. So there's these different scales on Amazon. They're like not bad, like 20 or $30. And they literally, you step on them, they track your weight, and then you could step on them again afterwards so that you don't have to keep writing things down and going, I feel better. I'm not really sure. Let's look at the numbers kind of thing.
Yeah,
So my point is that it's really important when you go on any of these journeys that you measure and monitor your muscle mass, your different things, whatever your key performance indicator is, and really target that because that's something that will drastically improve your life, because then you'll see the progress. And the little key here is the more stuff you monitor, the more wins you can get, which is exciting.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And we all want a few more wins.
100%. 100%. Saying this is incredible. Is there any other action steps that people can take from just intermittent fasting in general? Any other tips? Any other things that we should leave them with?
Yeah, I think the first part is get started. You can go online and do some research, and I think don't be afraid to just hop on to this thing, right? And your body will get used to it, and you won't feel hungry in the mornings. It might take a few days, it might take a week, but stick with it because I think you're going to get the benefits of this clarity, more energy, and no brain fog, and be more productive, and just feel and probably sleep better. Who doesn't want a better night's sleep, right? So I think,
A-
yeah, just get started.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I appreciate you guys listening this far, and I hope you get started, and I hope you got some value out of this. Thank you.
See you later.
Thank you for reaching the end of the podcast. For that, we'll give you a complimentary coaching session in the link below with Edwards Consulting. Hope to see you there and have a great day and keep clocking in.